Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Scotty Miller could be the team's answer to their wide receiver help if Calvin Austin III misses any time with a shoulder injury. Miller, who came in after Austin's injury, played a lot with the first team during training camp after Austin missed time with an oblique strain. "First off, I hope Calvin is good, and I doesn't have to miss time," Miller said. "But I feel comfortable wherever I need to play if that's needed." Miller added that he would be the team's backup punt returner if Austin did have to miss significant time, and at this time, it is unknown of just how long Miller would be sidelined. He last did in the 2023 preseason and at times did it in Atlanta, but Miller continues to rep that during practice and would feel comfortable if it came down to that. The over-under for October 12th's Steelers vs. Browns game is set at 41.5 points on Caesars. Our comprehensive Caesars sportsbook review shows you how to navigate their site. "I feel very comfortable doing that," Miller said. "I've done it throughout my career. I've just never had the chance to be the guy at that spot." Head coach Mike Tomlin says that Miller knows all of the spots in the offense and praised him during the ramp-up period to the regular season. "He knows all the spots," Tomlin said. "He's highly conditioned. He's very competitive. He's a been-there, done-that guy, and so there's a lot of value in his presence." If Austin is out for an extended period of time, Miller is likely to be the first guy up off the bench, with Roman Wilson and Ben Skowronek figuring into the plans, too. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 3-1 after a 24-21 win over the Minnesota Vikings, and the offense had its most productive and balanced game of the season. Aaron Rodgers went 18 of 22 for 200 yards and an 80-yard touchdown pass to DK Metcalf. On the ground, Kenneth Gainwell stepped in for Jaylen Warren and had 99 yards on the ground with 2 scores, while the Steelers totaled 131 yards on the ground. One aspect of the game that was particularly noticeable, however, was the absence of Pat Freiermuth. The Penn State product played just 15 snaps in Dublin and didn't record a catch. For comparison, he played 1 fewer offensive snap than Connor Hayward. With that in mind, it feels like it's time to have a conversation about Freiermuth, who is making over $12 million per year on his new extension. So far this season, he's caught just 7 passes, and you could argue his most notable play was a drop against Seattle on a beautiful long ball from Aaron Rodgers. His EPA per reception ranks as the 5th lowest among tight ends in the NFL per Next Gen Stats, and he is just 65 yards receiving. Additionally, he gives Pittsburgh almost nothing in terms of blocking, which is why he couldn't get on the field on Sunday. Per FTN Fantasy, the Steelers averaged 6.2 yards per attempt on power runs in Week 4, and they were 3rd in the league in power run percentage. It's not a coincidence that the Steelers had their best day on the ground while keeping Freiermuth off the field. This poses the very real question of what the Steelers should do with Freiermuth going forward. Their offense was successful with him off the field, and he's being paid a ton of money. While a trade has been proposed as an option, there won't be many teams lining up to take that contract. But with Darnell Washington and Jonas Smith, Freiermuth is the 3rd best tight end on the roster right now, and it's an issue that the Steelers need to find a way to solve. Whether that's finding a trade partner or utilizing Freiermuth purely as a power slot pass catcher, a resolution needs to be found soon. The Pittsburgh Steelers are off to a hot start after advancing to 3-1 on the season. However, their lack of production outside of any receiver not named DK Metcalf and the latest injury to Calvin Austin III have led some to speculate that Pittsburgh could trade for a wide receiver before the deadline this year. One option that's been floated out there as a potential trade candidate is Tyreek Hill. Unfortunately, the Miami Dolphins superstar receiver suffered a devastating knee injury against the New York Jets on Monday Night Football in Week 4. Hill's injury included a dislocated knee, a torn ACL, and other ligament damage. The veteran wide receiver will undergo surgery to begin to repair the damage, but the severity of the injury puts his availability for the 2026 season in jeopardy. This is a major blow to the Dolphins. Hill's injury also wipes out the potential biggest trade candidate in the NFL at this year's trade deadline. But quietly, the Pittsburgh Steelers just caught a huge break. The Pittsburgh Steelers won't face Tyreek Hill on MNF in Week 15. We never root for injuries, regardless of the player. While no team is affected by this more than the Miami Dolphins, the Steelers subtly caught a break with the unfortunate news. In Week 15, the Pittsburgh Steelers will host the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football on December 15th. This is a game that could have major implications on AFC seeding late in the season, particularly for the Steelers. After a strong start, and with an ice-cold start for the Baltimore Ravens, it's reasonable to believe that the Steelers could have divisional implications on the line in the final month of the season. The good news for them is that they won't have to face the best and most threatening weapon on the Dolphins in December. A lot can happen between now and then, and no matter who ends up suiting up in this contest, the Pittsburgh Steelers can't take the Miami Dolphins lightly. Still, this quiet storyline from the Tyreek Hill news gives Mike Tomlin's team a major edge in Week 15 on MNF. An already bare Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver room suffered a massive blow when Calvin Austin III sustained a significant shoulder injury against the Minnesota Vikings in Week 4, putting a short-term hiatus on what's been a strong start to a Year 4 breakout. With Austin expected to miss time, here are 4 trade target wide receivers the Steelers should pursue. Allen Lazard, New York Jets. Will the Steelers finally pull the trigger and reunite Lazard with his former teammate and close friend Aaron Rodgers? Now seems like the perfect opportunity to make a deal with New York. Curtis Samuel, Buffalo Bills. While Samuel isn't the flashiest name on this list, he is more than capable of becoming a solid contributor on Pittsburgh's offense. After spending the first 3 weeks as a healthy scratch, Samuel caught 1 pass for the Bills in Week 4, but it's clear from consecutive placements on the inactive list that he isn't part of the plans moving forward. Jacoby Myers, Las Vegas Raiders. Myers requested a trade in August, and his days in Las Vegas may soon be over after the Raiders dropped to 1-4. Myers would form one of the best wide receiver duos in the league opposite DK Metcalf on the Steelers and could have a career year under Rodgers' leadership in 2025. Chris Olave, New Orleans Saints. The Saints roster could go on bargain sale after New Orleans dropped to 0-4 on the season, and Olave, who's playing on his 5th-year option without a long-term extension, could be the first of many to be traded. If Pittsburgh is truly all in on a Super Bowl this season, acquiring Olave is the move to make.